You're tuned into the King Exchange. I'm your host, Sean. We are altering our scheduled programming today to bring you a major breaking development in the race for Orange County Clerk of Courts. Yesterday, Orange County Commissioner Maribel Gomez Cordero was formally served at her home with an emergency lawsuit aimed at removing her from the ballot. The lawsuit was filed by rival candidate Rick Singh and orchestrated by attorney Anthony Sabatini. It represents a massive calculated escalation that threatens to throw our local election into absolute chaos. Joining me now to break down the legal documents that hit our desk yesterday afternoon is Jay in Washington CEO David Washington. David, welcome.
Thank you,
I
Sean.
want to first
Good to be back.
Thank you. I want to first start off with a brief disclaimer. I do not claim myself as a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. But this is a story that we have knowledge of, and we are the first to break it to you. And we appreciate our viewers paying attention to this. And we want to have a discussion about something that is very critical and something that will and can set the precedent for future elections to come. We want to highlight some disparities and bring justice and truth to this situation. Let's start off, David, by looking directly at the text of this verified complaint. Rick Singh is suing both Maribel and Supervisor of Elections, Karen Castor-Dentel. He is invoking Florida's Resign-to-Run law under Section 99.012. The entire case hinges on a microscopic timeline window, a 28-day overlap. Walk us through what the plaintiff is claiming here.
So if I understand the paperwork correctly, what is being alleged is that Commissioner Gomez Cordero did not file her letter of resign-to-run because of the fact that the current, not the current commissioner, the current clerk of courts had to resign her seat in order to run for mayor of Orange County. Tiffany Moore Russell, the current clerk, her term ends in 2028. So Commissioner Gomez Cordero, learning that clerk Russell Moore Russell had filed for mayor, Gomez Cordero filed for her seat in 2028. When Moore Russell submitted her official letter to the Supervisor of Elections and or to the Division of Elections in Tallahassee of her intent to run for mayor and qualify as a candidate for mayor, she had to submit a letter saying that on such and such date, she will resign from her seat as clerk to either one, take on the role of Orange County mayor, or if she doesn't win, she's no longer clerk because she resigned. And this resignation letter is she's unable to revoke it. It's irrevocable. The same is alleged that Commissioner Gomez Cordero should have done when the Supervisor of Elections office learned and when Commissioner Gomez Cordero learned that there was a letter from Clerk Moore Russell stating that she was resigning on such and such date and because she was running for Orange County mayor, therefore creating a vacancy and therefore creating a special election for her seat in 2026 instead of her seat expiring in 2028. So Commissioner Gomez Cordero had to refile if she intended to stay in the race, she needed to refile for the special election that was created by Clerk Moore Russell's resignation. Commissioner Gomez Cordero had to refile for this special election that would occur this year, August 18th, 2026. It's convoluted, it's a mess, and unfortunately, we're at this place right now that it's been made a complaint by one of the um, candidates for Orange County Clerk, former property appraiser Rick Singh, to determine whether or not Commissioner Gomez Cordero is legally qualified to run for clerk of the courts, given that she did not formally submit a letter of resignation to run for this seat, or that she did not specifically specify that she was resigning on the specific date to run for this seat. It's a lot of legalese. It's hard to keep up. However, my understanding is that, of course, Rick Singh has made his legal stance, or made his legal point through attorney Anthony Sabatini. And I believe that Commissioner Gomez Cordero is working with lawyers between here and Tallahassee, who knows, in regards to this particular situation. Again, in full disclosure, Jay and Washington are the campaign team managers for the Maribel Gomez Cordero for Orange County Clerks, Clerk of Courts campaign. So we have some knowledge about this particular complaint in court.
You know, it feels incredibly pedantic, but under Florida election law, any overlap of any part thereof is legally dispositive if a judge interprets it strictly, and the courts are moving at lightning speed on this. Chief Judge Lisa Munyon has already stepped in, signed an order of reassignment and fast-tracked an emergency hearing for this Friday, July
Correct.
10th, I believe.
That's
What are the logistics looking like for Friday?
Well, I understand that Commissioner Gomez Cordero has filed was served yesterday with the notice of the complaint. And as far as I understand, she's working with attorneys to create her response to the motion for a temporary injunction. A lot of this paperwork is available online through the clerk's office, so there's really nothing new. Most of it, of course, is the complaint made by Rick Singh through attorney Sabatini. So at this point, it's a matter of supervisor of elections, Karen Castrodeno, and her attorney appearing in court and responding to the complaint, as well as Commissioner Gomez Cordero, as candidate Gomez Cordero.
You know, this legal attack from Rick Singh doesn't happen in a vacuum. In fact, it shines a glaring spotlight on the exact operational warnings Jay in Washington has been raising for months. Back on April 10th, you sent a certified letter to Supervisor Castro-Dentel asking what would happen if a clerk resigned to run for mayor, and whether the resulting vacancy would trigger a voter-led special election or a gubernatorial appointment. It seems your warnings about a chaotic transition were entirely prophetic.
Yes, and there's that letter is very interesting, and it's highly appropriate in this particular matter. We did it for our candidates, particularly Commissioner Gomez Cordero in her race for clerk. And I just want to caution our audience that we never received a response from the Supervisor of Elections Office in regards to our letter that was sent by regular mail, United States Postal Service, and by certified mail, which they had to sign for. So they got two copies of that letter, and they had my information, my email, my phone number, my address to respond. So saying that, I'm sure they'll respond to that information if it is part of their response. Whether or not they're going to present that letter, it's it's anyone's idea. I'm pretty sure that because we are the campaign team for Gomez Cordero, it will be in her response to the complaint. Also, I just want to caution, after my conversations with some legal friends of mine, I was informed that although that letter is there, the supervisor of elections office, and this was shocking, had no legal responsibility to respond, to notify us of this potential conflict, despite the fact they encourage us to ask questions and to bring any issues that may come up that we discover that can help this process move along nicely. I don't get it. I don't understand what's the purpose of having a governmental entity that runs our elections that are supposed to provide us with the right information at the right time. My presumption of that was my presumption, but now I understand government has no obligation, the supervisor of elections office had no obligation to inform us of the law. Wow. I'm going to advise my future clientele who want to run for office, you better have the legal staff in your campaign that you can consult with to discuss statute 99 or statute 100 or 101, because I find that pretty sad.
You're bringing up a great point there, David. This lawsuit isn't just an attack on Maribel. It feels like a fast track to stripping Orange County voters of their voice entirely. But Commissioner Gomez Cordero isn't backing down. She was served yesterday, but our sources indicate she is completely prepared to make her case, defend her qualification, and remain firmly on the ballot. What the courtroom this Friday?
I'm sorry, Sean. You kind of faded in and out there. What was the question again?
We know that Maribel, we have a strong, knowledge that Maribel is well prepared to defend herself, her qualification, and remain on the ballot. Can you sort of elaborate on what ensures that confidence and your hopes that she succeeds? What's the state right now of her case, if you're able to disclose that?
What I do know and what I can share is that once she became aware of the complaint, that she sought out legal counsel between here in Orange County to Tallahassee, and that in that time she's received valuable information about how to proceed, and that she has secured legal assistance to respond accordingly to the complaint. She's weighing all her options, and unfortunately, circumstances beyond her control, part of her administrative team, an important person of her administrative team, recently passed away. So that has brought things close to a standstill. I wouldn't say necessarily a standstill, but it has slowed the progress of responding or preparing a response. However, again, she's received legal counsel, and that counsel is preparing a response, an appropriate response to the complaint.
I want to take a look at Moore's memo. This was from Sheriff candidate Bill Moore. Can we sort of talk about the statutory hurdles highlighted in the case of candidate Roberta Walton Johnson, and how that impacts election, and why, or if there is any connection to a precedent for Gomez Cordero.
That is an interesting wrinkle in this. Just a week or so prior, on Facebook, it was allegedly made public by an associate of Rick Singh's, Bill Moore, alleging that the general counsel for the clerk of courts, Tiffany Moore Russell's office, will not be able to administer the role of clerks if she is elected. And I'm speaking of Roberta Walton Johnson. She's the current general counsel for the clerk's office. And that's because she has a felony, I believe, from a past crime that I believe she's received some type of relief from the courts and or a governor's office. I don't know the exact details. However, Bill Moore has spelled it out very clearly in his Facebook post about her legal trouble and how that legal trouble could prevent her from, again, exercising the role of the clerk, because the clerk's office has to have a surety, a bond, insurance in order to conduct business. And according to whatever law he cited, I need to, that situation is even more convoluted and I'm still researching. But however, the clerk's office needs to have insurance in order to do what it does. And because she has a felony, she'll be unable to be insured. The clerk's office will not be able to be insured because of the fact she has that felony conviction. It's on the record, and that's if she wins the race for Orange County Clerk.
I want to ask about this sort of legal chaos. See this impeding like future races moving forward, hijacking the integrity of a race, or at least baseline, transparency and smooth and efficient operation? Or is this just a byproduct of bureaucracy and something that we must accept and that we can't do anything about? How can we change this? What's the hope for the future?
To get directly to the answer of your question, the hope for the future is to be well versed in the average voter, the average candidate, the average consultant in understanding election law. Granted, very few candidates are lawyers. Very few candidates or their teams actually look at the election law until a situation like this occurs. I can confidently say that I understand election law as a layperson based on, of course, my experience in years here in Florida and managing campaigns and political advising. At the same time, the law is the law, and it is not easy to understand and catch and understand every nuance. And so that's why I'm kind of, like perplexed by the fact that when we sought, as Jane Washington sought guidance on the Resign-to-Run law, that the supervisor of elections office did not respond, even with a, hey, we think maybe it's better that you seek your own counsel out to get the interpretation of the law, because we're doing the same thing too. But they have an on-staff attorney who's been there for years. And there's not too many attorneys that understand election law. So my advice for candidates and campaign teams in the future. And now that we have the advent of AI that can pretty much interpret and understand just about anything, um, create an AI agent or find a legal AI that is well versed in Florida statutes, particularly election law, and have it deciphered. Um, what steps are supposed to be taken in situations like this, or a situation like that, or whatever, what to do if there is a runoff. The knowledge is out there. It's how lawyers and judges are going to interpret it. But however, again, candidates in the future, campaign teams in the future, advisors in the future can get a leg up by using their own resources if they know lawyers, or use AI to make sense of all this.
You know, we are in a new dawn here with AI, and I think a lot of these offices rely on the fact that most people, lay people, right, are just average. They have other jobs, other responsibilities. Even if they are in politics, to be versed on every single statute and section is just impossible unless that is your entire life's work and you're writing the books. And so I think they rely on that, and they know, just as when you sign terms and conditions of, you know, a
Yeah.
300-page document for an app, and then you find out, oh, why can't I get a refund on this? You know, it's because they rely on, you know, the fact that people will not be reading through all these documents, or may not have
That's
the
right.
capacity to understand, or the time or resources to understand these documents. And, you know, there is a certain responsibility, but when it's not disclosed and there's no response from an office when you send a letter, or, you know, you try to have a conversation and try to move forward, it raises concerns of partiality. And if justice and if our government is moving um, efficiently and fairly, um, with, you know, Commissioner Gomez Cordero, we would like to highlight, you know, she has advocated for community improvements, including funding and overseeing the development um, of various parks, and empowering entrepreneurs through initiatives like Nona PR, and securing critical infrastructure improvements, such as sewer connections for Frankel Street and Lake Downey Drive, and safety upgrades on North Shore Golf Club Boulevard. And those are
Mhm.
great accomplishments. And we hope that she can continue this. She has a great connection and outreach to the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
And she has made an impact on many, advocating for mental health advocacy and leadership, and the unwavering commitment she has to community service. You know, the stakes cannot be higher. So this Friday, the future of Orange County judicial system is on the line. Um, to our listeners, this conversation is the baseline. We wanted to break the story to you, bring it to you first here at JN Washington, and we are actively tracking this lawsuit and any updates. And we hope to be bringing Commissioner Maribel Gomez Cordero right here on to the King Exchange for an exclusive, in-depth interview to discuss her legal defense and her vision for protecting this office. David, thank you so much for joining me and breaking down these documents and sort of introducing this news and these concerns for our audience. If there's anything you would like to add, I'd love to hear your closing thoughts on this.
Sure.
And
One thing I failed to mention, that there's a lawsuit that is somewhat similar to this particular Resign-to-Run law. It was filed by Randy Ross, a candidate for Orange County Commissioner District 3, against the Supervisor of Elections Office, I believe. Also mayoral candidate Myra Uribe. I don't know the complete details of it. So again, please show some grace, audience. However, candidate Maribel is also commissioner of District 3. And in order for her to run for mayor, she had to resign to run also. And it was anticipated that her resignation that she would have listed on her letter would be after the August election or after the November election, because the law states a specific time frame. However, she used a date in December, the day I believe her term officially ends, as her date of resignation, which threw everything up in the air, up for grabs. And so there's this debate has been going on before this official complaint in regards to Commissioner Gomez's candidacy and qualifications, qualifying for the clerk's office. So again, to future candidates and campaign managers, advisors, politicals in general, even though you're not lawyers, or even if you are a lawyer, take a very good look at or run the election law, the election statutes through a competent AI that can break down, the law in simple, human terms, layman terms, and run some scenarios. The law can be difficult. And it's not necessarily about justice. It's about law. So my final words, I hope for the best for Commissioner Gomez Cordero, and we'll see how this turns out.
Thank you, David. And Godspeed to Commissioner Gomez Cordero. Keep it locked into the Jane Washington Network. We will be bringing you all updates regarding this case as much as we can when they become available to us. And we look forward to talking to Commissioner Gomez Cordero very soon. So please look forward to that. I'm Sean King, your host of the King Exchange. Please check out our YouTube channel, Jay in Washington, for other episodes of the King Exchange and other podcasts within our network. We have great programming, and we look forward to bringing you more content across all various subjects. And also, please check out the T8020 token community. We strive to bring the future of elections and currency to you, and this is a great way to be a part of that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next time.
Thank you, Sean.